Oh my goodness! Welcome to... I almost said The West Wing. This isn't The
Oh
West
yeah,
Wing.
this is
This
the
is
West Wing?
Wingin' It.
Wow.
It's a West Wing podcast. It's not the
That's
same,
no, it's
but it's
not.
close.
Sorry guys. If you guys thought you were watching / attending some sort of West Wing thing, it's just the podcast.
Sorry, we'd love to be on it. They didn't invite us. It's
No.
already off the air. I don't know if you know this, but
Also, I was like 9.
anyway, yeah, I was like, what, 11 or 12? I don't know. Hey, welcome to Wingin' It, the West Wing Podcast. I'm Andrea. This is Sallie. Hey,
Hi.
Sallie. And we're in season 2. We're talking about episode 7, which is the Portland trip.
The Portland trip.
Yes, I've never been to Portland.
I haven't either.
Yet.
It's a strange place to pick for this episode, because we don't actually get to Portland, really.
So we've still never been to Portland. Although I am planning on going next month. So
Look at you.
if you guys are in Portland, hit me up on the Twitter. Yeah, anyway.
This is a good episode. I like this episode. At least better than the last one.
True.
I just thought
Indeed.
there were a lot of good themes in this one, which we'll get into. We could start with the TikTok.
TikTok. Okay.
TikTok.
So there's not it's very Chicago of me. TikTok. There's not that much that's happening. They're going to Portland, obviously. And CJ has to go on the Portland trip because she made fun of Notre Dame. Which, why would she do that? CJ. Tisk, tisk, tisk. So that was kind of funny. Donna's trying to go on a date. So that's something. And Sam's having a bit of writer's block. He's not really liking what he's writing. And he's trying to prepare a speech for Bartlett. He's going to talk about education when they land in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
There is some sort of skirmish that Leo's handling back at the White House involving a U.S. company that's selling black market oil from Iraq. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So there you go. That's what happens in the Portland trip in terms of a plot line.
So, anything stick out to you? Did you love or hate any part of it?
Did I love or hate any part of it? I loved Josh and Donna in this episode.
Yeah.
I loved the whole, like, Donna's trying to go on a date, and she's wearing a dress that she wasn't wearing during the day, and Josh actually notices, so that's always a win. And maybe we should play the audio clip for this. I'll just play it, and we can talk about it.
Look at me.
Hey, you look good.
Yes, I do.
You weren't wearing that during the day today.
Pity the girl who tries to get something past you, Josh.
Did you steal that dress?
I bought this dress.
But you're returning it tomorrow.
Yes, I am.
That's stealing.
I'm giving it back.
After wearing it once.
There's a word for this.
It's stealing.
I'm a girl on a budget, Josh. I'm being thrifty.
Yes, and felonious. What are your plans?
Look,
What are your plans?
we're having drinks, we're having dinner, we are dancing, we are having dessert.
No problem. You can do all those things except for the drinks, the dancing, and the dessert.
Josh,
You need to be done with dinner in an hour and 5 minutes.
do you see what I'm wearing?
And if you want to have sex, you better do it during dinner.
This is the guy, Josh. This is a great guy. His name is Todd.
You met him for 5 minutes at a party.
I got the good vibe.
Okay.
I have an excellent sense about these things.
You actually have no sense about these things. You have no vibe. You have terrible taste in men. And your desire to be coupled up will always and forever drown out any small sense of self or self-worth that you may have.
You're a downer. You know that? I'm calling you Deputy Downer from now on.
So Josh tells her that she has no vibe and she has no good taste in men. I mean, she acts kind of like a little bit hurt in the moment, but then kind of like laughs it off. But like in a way that kind of looks like she's gonna cry, but maybe not. I don't know. It was kind of a weird truth-telling moment.
Yeah,
What did you think about that?
I thought it was like, I don't know, it's almost like a little sad because it's a little sad, it's a little weird. The sad part because, okay, you're sort of like, if you're not going to step up and ask her out, then like don't impede in any way on like her going out with other guys, you know?
It wasn't even just that. Because he was like, yeah, you have bad taste in men and like you have no vibe. But then he also started talking about self-respect. And I was like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Here's the thing about this, Donna. Oh, but I thought it was weird because, and we've talked about this before, but they're like sometimes it's so blatant. Like they say such like totally out there things that then it's weird that it's ignored after that, or that like it doesn't go anywhere. Like when he says when he, at the end, he says the comment about, like, you look great in that dress, it is, I don't know, like, my boss wouldn't say that to me, you know? It's a pretty, like, not intense moment. They definitely have more intense moments than that. But, you know what I'm trying to say? That, like, okay, then we're just going to pretend like that didn't happen. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he finally says that, but at the end, it did feel kind of like a friend sort of thing. Like, you should buy that for yourself. The way your friend would be like, yeah, you should do something good. It was like a friendly thing. But at the same time, throughout this whole episode, there were, like, long kind of shots of Josh looking after she leaves a room. I felt like in multiple scenes. There was, like, you know? But still nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, here's a weird thing about Donna's Date. Let's talk about this. Because I was talking to my mom about this episode, who has just recently watched and finished the whole thing. And she said, I don't know if I buy this or not, but she said there's the weird moment where Donna comes down and is talking to Ainsley and is like, oh, do you think we look alike? And they have that whole conversation. She took that to mean that she thought on Donna's Date, the guy who asked Donna out was actually trying to go out with, thought he was going out with Ainsley. Like, met a blonde woman that worked in the White House and assumed that she was the new, he'd heard about a blonde Republican, blah, blah, blah. Because Donna's and I don't know if I buy that theory, but without that theory, her coming down and talking about them looking alike is very out of nowhere. You know?
It's totally out of nowhere.
Throwing that in, that sort of makes a little bit of sense, but I would not have gotten that. You know?
They never allude to that.
No. But it does make sense. Because she talks about how terrible it went. It wasn't worth anything, blah, blah, blah. And then she's so down the whole episode. Like, she's almost too down for just, like, a bad date. Like, she's down because it makes sense that she would be down because he didn't even mean to go out with her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
At first, I had, like, a theory. I was like, is she asking because... But my theory doesn't make any sense now. That she was asking if they look alike because she's afraid that Josh might like her, but then she would know that Josh likes her, and that's not the case.
Right.
We don't really know what Josh thinks.
Because she does, like, fret a little when she says she's doing some work for Josh. She's like, oh, okay. So that could be it, too. But the out of nowhere, it was really out of nowhere without that in it.
It was completely out of the blue. I wonder if it's also, if she's wondering, like, is it the way I look? Like, do I just attract the wrong kind of men because I look a certain way or whatever? And she's asking her about, like, what instruments she played and stuff. And it was really pathetic. I mean, it was funny, kind of, but she was like, oh, is the trombone, like, hard to learn? Like, that's something I would say as a joke completely, but just the way she said it was so earnest. It was like, whoa, girl, like... You don't need to learn to play the trombone. You just got to be Donna Moss and stop going out with losers.
Yeah. So, interesting theory. You guys out there can tell us if you think that's a legit thing or if you read it a totally different way. I don't know. I just thought that was strange that my mom got that from it.
Yeah. Well, I like that theory. I think it's cool. And apparently Donna's popping tags. She's like Macklemore. Before it was in pop songs, before it was popular.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. So, anyway, so that's the whole Donna Josh thing, right?
We also learned from that exchange that Leo's a foodie, because he asked Donna, like, about her date and what she got and what she got to eat, and then he's like, oh, you got to get this or that and this and that and this and that, and you're like, whoa, yeah, Leo's the definition of a foodie, which is you don't always get to see from him, which I liked.
Which leads into, because Donna and Leo had a cute moment where, not a cute moment, but a sweet moment where she was concerned about his divorce papers, as everyone was in this episode, but they had a nice, sort of touching, concerned moment. And so that leads into Leo's storyline of his divorce papers, which Margaret is just telling everybody.
Yeah. I mean, she's worried that he's gonna drink and fall off the wagon, and I mean, I feel like that's not unfounded. I feel like she's just looking out for him.
Oh, definitely. I think it was sweet. It just is like, okay, literally everyone has been told that Leo's divorce papers. I guess if I were Leo, I'd be like, I mean, I appreciate it, and I think it was sweet of her, but I'd be like, man, Just keep it on the DL. Not something I want everyone to know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ooh. Also, it's kind of, is it not strange? I'm not sure, but I mean, I've heard of divorces taking a long time, but didn't he get divorced in like the first half of season 1? We're already in season 2 and he hasn't gotten his divorce papers yet?
I think it probably is that it takes a long time. Yeah, I think it's just, maybe there's some other things. Maybe they like tried to be separated for a little while. You never know, like negotiations. I don't really know, but I think it could take that long.
Oh, also, I completely forgot the storyline in the TikTok about Josh's meeting with the congressman about the same-sex marriage, the ban, and he's a gay congressman, and he's a Republican, and he's arguing against same-sex marriage, even though it's surprising. Yeah. So that was the other whole thing that happens throughout the episode, which I thought was a super interesting, surprising reversal, which is not unlike The West Wing.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was, I mean, it's another thing where they sort of personalized big issues going on, especially because they made, I can't remember the congressman's name, but it was Matt.
His name's Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made he and Josh get along so well. Like, they were just buddies, sort of like hashing this out. You know, like it made the debate, it's a totally different style debate than like we saw last episode with Sam and those other like it was more casual and more like things were getting done, obviously, because when he left, he was like, yeah, he's going to sign it. But it was much more laid back and one-on-one, and I just liked the whole dynamic of that storyline, I think, of the way they went about it. It was late at night, and they were, you know, having a beer, and I thought that was interesting and cool.
Yeah, the whole episode happened during the middle of the night. Like, there's a 9:00 flight to Portland, and Josh is, you know, meeting in the mess hall, which I wonder what their hours are. We really need to find somebody on the inside. Are they open 24 hours? Like, somebody just tell me. Yeah. Maybe we could find out on the internet somehow.
Probably.
But I also thought it was strange when Matt shows up. I mean, clearly he's friends with Josh. He's familiar. He knows who Donna is and stuff. He's like, hey, man, you let Donna out? Like he's the Baja Man. Like, who let the Donna out? Jeez. Let the woman have a social life, people.
Another interesting thing is that, not interesting thing, but I was wondering about this. Josh says the line about, you want to reduce the size of the government just small enough that it fits in your bedroom. And that's sort of a common phrase. Or, like, I feel like I've heard that a lot now or since then. And I'm curious if that's something that Sorkin came up with or something he borrowed from someone. Because he's borrowed a few things. The whole speech, Bartlett's whole speech to Dr. Laura, to Dr. Man, it's so easy to space on, like, things I know. But his whole speech to that doctor came from an email that, like, circulated at the time. And I'm curious, like, if that was language. I mean, because I've heard that a lot, like I said, since then. So I'm interested to know if that is something he came up with and that's where it came from.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm saying that like I expect you to know, like, immediately.
Well, we'll have to ask Sorkin himself when we get there.
Clearly, yeah.
Add it to the Sorkin list.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of adding things to lists, we can add... Isn't this the episode? Maybe not. Yeah, this is the episode. We can add Fresca to the list for our potluck, right?
Yes, totally. Yeah. Ainsley needs her Fresca. She likes that bitter grapefruit thing. My grandma liked Fresca a lot.
Well,
or Squirt.
Fun fact.
Either of those.
You know how I love the fun facts. According to IMDb, Ainsley tries to get a can of Fresca, but they do not keep it in the building. According to historian Doris Kearns Goodwin, Lyndon Johnson loved the soda Fresca so much that he had a fountain installed in the Oval Office that dispensed the beverage, which the president could operate by pushing a button on his desk chair.
Wait a doggone minute. You're telling me that we had a president with a Fresca fountain?
That is what it's sounding like. Yeah.
That is a Wikipedia footnote if I've ever heard one.
It's on Wikipedia, too. The history of Fresca. U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson had a soda fan containing it installed in the Oval Office. Let's check that source.
You heard it first here, guys. LBJ loved him some Fresca, and Ainsley Hayes was not the only one. That's absurd.
That's a little crazy, right?
Why do we know that?
I don't know. I'm still double-checking this, but it seems pretty legit.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
We only use 10% of our brains and we know all this random stuff. Imagine if we used a whole 100.
shortly after becoming president, LBJ gave up drinking alcohol and replaced it with Fresca. Oh, you guys are welcome for just providing all of this. Like, just, it's priceless knowledge,
it's free.
I think.
This podcast is free.
Yeah.
This knowledge is just for
we
kicks,
should definitely
man.
be charging.
Call us, NPR. We could host things. It'd be like car talk, except we can't talk about cars at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. We can talk about Fresca. So we'll add that to our potluck, our West Wing potluck.
Yeah. We need to plan a date when we're going to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe when we go to LA, we'll have a big West Wing potluck.
Yeah.
This fall. I think it'll be a good
make that
time.
happen. Okay.
Cool.
What else is happening?
Well, Sam's not writing well.
No, Sam is not writing well. He has lost his mojo.
Which is funny because he was in Austin Powers. Not Sam.
Poor Sam.
Bravo.
But I love the tiny part of the episode where they're not debating about, but Sam wants to quote communist.
Yes.
And he says, "You think a communist never wrote an elegant phrase? How do you think they got everyone else to be communists?"
That was my favorite. That was my absolute favorite from this episode.
Yeah.
Yes. Totally.
Because even Bartlett was kind of saying that. He was like, yeah, I mean, he had some good things to say.
Yeah. Good oratory should raise your heart rate.
So I like that storyline. I like the part at the end. Well, at the end, we find out. So, like, CJ asks for everybody to give their drafts back because Sam hated his draft. Of course, everyone does except for Danny, obviously. And it's funny at the end of the episode because we find out that Danny was sort of just picking on her. And he gives it back because she made fun of Notre Dame and Danny's Notre Dame, blah, blah, blah. So that was fun. But I also like the moment where Toby's like, Danny, Sam bombed hard and he wants to burn it. And Danny, it's just like, feels like from writer to writer, it was a cool moment of like, okay, I get that. Now I'll give it back. And also he was just doing it because, he was going to give it to anyone who wasn't CJ. He was trying to give CJ a hard time. But I still liked that moment and like to think that Danny was like, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool.
You're like, yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he says like, tell him he'll be fine. Yeah. They're like, oh, I've been there. I thought that was fun. Other things, there's the education situation.
Yeah. It's what they're writing about.
Yeah. And I sort of feel like this episode ties back a little bit to, and this is what I was talking about in the beginning, that there are fun themes. This episode reminded me a little bit of the frustrations in Let Bartlett Be Bartlett. Because there are a few situations going on. There's the marriage equality bill. There's the oil tanker that they're not the restrictions aren't enough or the sanctions aren't enough. And there's the education where they don't have a firm idea. And in all of these situations, Bartlett is frustrated because he's not getting to do what he wants to do. The oil tanker is going to still get paid money. Like the fine is just as much as, there's less than what they're going to make off of it. He doesn't want to sign this equality, I can't remember what the actual name is, but he doesn't want to sign the bill with the marriage equality in it, and he's sort of having to, he says they're going to veto it once, like as a symbol to the gay community, but then they're going to have to sign it anyway, and he's bummed about that. And then the education thing, that they can't promise a permanent revolution because there isn't one. They don't have anything. So it's sort of, he's frustrated.
Yep.
And it was interesting to me to watch that.
Yeah, the struggle between what they want to accomplish and what they're actually accomplishing.
Yeah.
Because Sam wants to have some sort of revolutionary approach to education, but Toby's like, we've had 6 months to come up with it and we haven't been able to do it. We're not going to do it in one night just because they're inspired to write a speech, the way that they want to.
Right. Which I love.
Bartlett was pretty frustrated.
He was frustrated, and it's interesting to watch him be frustrated and sort of deal with like, this is what I want, but this is what I can do. But I love that they gave Charlie Charlie was the one who got to have the idea. I thought that was fun. And I like that I like to think that Charlie is sort of scribbling ideas and like really taking everything in. Because sometimes he's just in the background and you're like, all right, there's Charlie. And it was cool to think he's like learning from it and like coming up with stuff and blah, blah, blah. I like that. Yeah,
so Charlie comes up with the idea of like tuition incentives if you're going to teach in a public school, and he's just there, being unassuming and coming up with really interesting ideas. So
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
was...
good for you, Charlie.
He says the line, like, if this was an idea, someone would have had it already. And Bartlett said, like, I can't remember what Bartlett's response was, but it was something like, I find fault in that logic or something like that.
Yes.
It's, yeah, so I liked that. And then at the end, Toby's like, we should do it for 100, we should do it for 100 teachers and just, like, do this pilot program. And Bartlett has a line that he says something like, well, it's better than, like, at least it's a start or something. And that sort of, it doesn't wrap up his, like, frustrated storyline, but it helps. It gives that, like, all right, like, let's just, he's, like, resigned to, like, let's just do what we can do, like, put our heads down and get whatever we can done. At least it's something, which was cool.
Yeah. If it's not, at least it's not nothing.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Indeed. I'm sure that there are many days in the White House where that's the win. It's like, well, let's just at least get something done.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm sure there are a lot of days where you feel like you're not doing anything.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
I just kind of liked the playful, like, CJ having to she's just ruining the day. The fact that she had to go on the trip in the first place, and that they want her to, like, wear the hat, and that they want her to, like, sing the fight song while they're flying over Indiana. Like, it's just kind of fun, like, as though it were a regular office where these are just people that you know and love and you're gonna mess with, and I just like that in general.
Yeah.
It added a nice tone to it.
I do too. I definitely do. I think it's, well, and I like when we see the president being that playful. And it's fun to see him. It's fun to see him be passionate about stuff that, like, normal people are passionate about. Like, it's cool when he's just being a normal dude. I like that a lot. We also find out in this episode that he was going to be a priest, and that's why he went to Notre Dame.
Yes. Isn't that true? Am I just remembering wrong? Wasn't Martin Sheen going to do that, or am I thinking wrong? Maybe I'm thinking about James McAvoy. James McAvoy was thinking about becoming a priest. Fun fact. Oh,
okay. That I couldn't tell you about if it's Martin Sheen. It seems like, I mean, I know that he had he has a strong, like, religious background, if I'm remembering correctly, because I remember he struggled with doing the scene, with no spoilers, he struggled doing the scene later in the season because of his religious background. So maybe, but I don't know if I've ever heard that. In the
cathedral.
Yes.
Actually, and my friend Audrey, she's Catholic. She's a singer-songwriter. Andrea Sallie, you should look her up. She met Martin Sheen, and he asked her to sing. Maybe we should have Audrey on here. Yeah, he asked her to sing, like, a particular hymn or song, and she sang it for him. Yeah, she's got a picture with President Bartlett. Maybe I'll try to find that for this episode.
Speaking of singing, I tweeted this from our Wingin' It pod account, but I went to a wedding about a week or two ago, and they sang Ave Maria as the solo, and I was just like, I know I'm supposed to be paying attention, but, like, I'm just seeing Josh in my head, and yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So intense. Well, yeah, how did we feel about this episode in general? Do you rewatch this one, or do you skip? You go in order. That's kind of a dumb question.
Yeah,
you go in order.
I can be hypothetical about it. I would maybe rewatch this one. I'd sort of forgotten about it. Nothing crazy happens in it, but I liked the vibe of the whole episode. I liked that it's sort of after hours. Everyone's laid back. I enjoy that a lot about it. I like the Josh and Donna dynamic. Nothing crazy happens. Nothing crazy is, like, the next episode is Shibboleth, which is a really great episode. But, so it's not one that stands out like that to me necessarily, but I thought it was really good still, and I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot better than the last one. But I still can't put my finger on why that is. I still can't figure out, like, did I just like the storylines better? Do I care about these stories more? Or is it just a different dynamic? I'm not sure, but I like it. How did you?
We don't have, like, a super emotional. Well, I think the most emotional thing we have is the debate with Josh and Matt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's not super emotional. It's still more cerebral.
Yeah, it pulls you in a little.
It's more emotional on Josh's
interest
side
too. Like, the last episode's storylines, I just wasn't that invested in, and because also on The West Wing, I find myself, from episode to episode, obviously we have several different storylines going on, and there are a lot of episodes where I'll be really attached to one or two storylines and really not like the others. Even in the last episode, I didn't care at all about the Ukraine Parliament guy, the one that showed up drunk.
No.
I was just like, let's just stop with
Or
him. And that's an
carpal
example
tunnel.
of that. And it makes it hard for me, even if the other storylines are okay, it's harder for me to be like, yeah, let's go back and watch that, because you got to get through the ones you don't love as much.
Yeah.
As with any show, really. But
true. You gotta let the bad in with the good, guys. It's just like love, and sometimes you gotta let the bad in with good.
Yep.
Yeah. Should we pick a MVP? Who would you vote?
Ooh. I don't know. Okay, so like probably not CJ. She didn't have anything crazy going on. I liked Sam in this episode. I don't know. Who do you pick? Put you on the spot.
I don't know. I'm thinking about Toby, maybe.
Okay.
Toby and I feel like Toby and Sam are at like the heart of the education
Dilemma.
stuff, at
Yeah.
least. And Josh obviously does a good job.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
I feel like they're all equal level nobody had really a super breakout episode.
It's a toss-up.
I'm gonna see, because I don't even feel like Sam's storyline really got that wrapped up. Like, they got the speech done, but I don't remember them feeling great about it.
Yeah, like, is he over his, like, writing spell?
Right.
Of, like, feeling like he's not writing well?
Right. I would have liked that to be wrapped up a little nicer in order to give him the MVP. Like, it'd be cool if he really ever came that and wrote this, like, awesome speech that was just the best ever. Then it would be Sam, I think. But
yeah, I don't really feel like picking an MVP on this one.
I don't either. I feel so bad because I'm genuinely... Normally I can, like, talk myself through it and be like, yeah, like, this person probably did it. This is probably so interesting for the listeners to just listen to our thoughts. But maybe Charlie. I'm going to say Charlie for coming up with the idea.
I mean...
And for being attentive when I would have been zoned out. That's why you work at the White House and not me.
He was just scribbling, but he was scribbling the future.
Yeah, like policy ideas. Yeah. So
I mean, that's all I ever scribble on napkins.
Oh,
totally.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Major policy shifts. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna say Charlie. Yeah. That's all I got.
Okay, cool. I'll defer to your judgment on that.
Awesome. I like that.
Sweet. Well,
okay.
That's episode 7, right? Yeah, the Portland trip. I'm excited for my trip to Portland coming up next month. I will think of this trip, though I will not be flying there on Air Force One, but, you do what you can.
Yeah.
And we're very excited for next week's episode, or next episode, whenever we release it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's like we're talking from the future, because we already know what happens.
Yeah, we've already recorded it.
We already recorded it.
Is that like tear the curtain down? Is that behind the magic too much? Like,
I like it.
Okay.
No, I like it. It's like a little sneak peek.
Yeah.
But
we have a special guest next week. Next episode, whenever that is.
You don't even know. For episode 8, Shibboleth. So great. Cool. Well, if you have thoughts or feelings, things that we missed in episode 7 that you'd like for us to discuss, or just thoughts and feelings in general, feel free to email us, TheWestWingPodcast@gmail.com, or hit us up on the Twitter or Instagram at WinginItPod.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. I second that. That's all I got. We like talking to y'all.
Okay, cool.
So, bring it on.
All right, we'll catch y'all on the flip side.
All right, bye.